The intersection of ocean and land has always contained incredible biological wonders. And among them, the Atlantic blue crab, Callinectes sapidus, has emerged as an undeniable icon of coastal North America. Especially the Chesapeake Bay region, with its poetic scientific name, Callinectes sapidus, which roughly translates to beautiful, salty swimmer. This crab is more than just a crustacean, it is an economic lifeline. Cultural heritage, and an integral part of the culinary soul of millions of Americans. From its tough olive green shell with subtle blue highlights on its claws, especially its flattened rear claws, to its sweet, delicate white meat, the blue crab has carved its place in the history of commercial fishing. The journey of the green crab begins as a tiny eggshell floating in the salt water of the Atlantic Ocean. Undergoing an extraordinary transformation that lasts 40 to 50 days. They emerge as microscopic, almost invisible zoea larvae, moving through the water column like specks of dust. After several molts, they transform into megalopa, a tiny lobster-like creature that swims upstream into brackish estuaries and bays. It is in brackish waters like the vast Chesapeake Bay, the gateway to Maryland, Virginia, and Delaware, that they find their ideal habitat, shallow, muddy waters, abundant food sources, and shelter from predators. The green crab's range stretches from Nova Scotia, Canada, down to Argentina, but nowhere is its connection to local culture stronger than on the east coast of the United States. The life cycle of the green crab is a complex symphony of natural cycles. Adult female crabs, called sooks, make a great spawning migration, heading to the salinity-rich waters in the south of the bay to lay their eggs. Meanwhile, male crabs, jimmies, prefer to stay in the shallower, brackish waters in the north. This behavioral difference is key to commercial fishing, as fishermen must employ different strategies depending on the sex and life stage of the crab. The American commercial fishermen who hold the secrets of blue crab fishing are more than mere laborers at sea. They are amateur naturalists who read every signal of tides, water temperature, and molting cycles. Blue crab fishing is a tradition passed down from father to son. Requiring patience, endurance, and above all, respect for the natural resource. To maintain sustainability, the industry is tightly controlled by strict regulations on minimum catch size, gender limits, often prohibiting or restricting the capture of egg-bearing females, and seasonality. Commercial blue crab fishing relies primarily on three main tools: crab pots, trot lines, and dredgers. Crab pots are the most common and most effective method. Crab pots are a box-shaped or truncated pyramid-shaped structure, made from galvanized steel or PVC mesh, measuring approximately 2 × 2 × 2 feet. Inside the trap is a compartment for bait and a sophisticated one-way door system, allowing crabs to easily crawl in but not out. Traditional baits are sardines, herring, or other cheap fish that have been salted or frozen to retain their scent longer underwater. Fishermen set out hundreds, even thousands, of these traps in shallow areas of bays or estuaries, each marked with a brightly colored and unique buoy for identification. The fishermen harvest the traps daily. The process is laborious and technical. Boats slowly move along a string of buoys, with fishermen using hooks or winches to pull each trap out of the water. Once the traps are on deck, they quickly open the trap doors and dump the crabs onto a sorting table or tray. The next step is sorting, a quick but meticulous process. Fishermen inspect each crab, measuring the shell size to ensure it meets commercial standards, usually 5 inches or longer for males. Checking the sex, identifying by the shape of the plastron, T-shaped for males, wide dome-shaped for mature females, and checking to see if the females are carrying eggs, spongy-like mass. Any crabs that do not meet the standards or females carrying eggs must be released immediately to protect the population. Those that meet the standards are transferred to coolers and humidifiers, ready for the journey to market. Trot lines are a traditional, iconic method of fishing in the Chesapeake Bay, though less common today due to the labor-intensive nature of the method. Trot lines are long cables, which can stretch for miles, placed on the bottom of the bay and secured at both ends with buoys. Hundreds of bait pieces, usually chicken necks or bacon, are tied at regular intervals along the line. Fishermen use a slow-moving boat to pull the line up from the water using a roller or winch. As crabs clinging to the bait are pulled near the surface, the fishermen must be extremely agile using a long net to scoop them up before they can let go and dive. This method is more than just a way of fishing, it is an art. A display of coordination and experience. It requires precise timing and delicate boat handling. Dredgers, used primarily in the winter, focus on catching crabs that hibernate in deep mud. When water temperatures drop, blue crabs burrow into the soft mud at the bottom of the bay to ride out the cold. Fishermen use a heavy steel frame with a mesh bag attached, called a trawl, to drag this net along the mud bottom, collecting the hibernating crabs. This method is usually used in deeper waters and there are strict regulations on the area that can be fished to avoid disturbing the seabed too much. A particularly attractive segment of blue crab fishing is the hunt for soft shell crabs. Blue crabs can only grow by shedding their hard outer shells. Immediately after molting, their new shells become soft and leathery, creating a delicacy with extremely high commercial value. Instead of catching adult crabs, some fishermen specialize in catching crabs that are in the pre-molting stage. Called peelers, they keep the crabs in shedding tanks with constantly monitored recirculating seawater systems. As soon as a crab molts, fishermen must act quickly, within hours, to get it into a cold, preserved environment before its new shell hardens. This delicacy and sheer time commitment makes soft shell crab farming a profitable but risky combination of agriculture and fishing. But the story of blue crab is about more than just the allure of flavor and fishing expertise. It's also about conservation and ecological challenge. Over the decades, the blue crab population in the Chesapeake Bay has experienced significant ups and downs. A combination of overfishing, pollution, especially the runoff of nutrients and sediment from the mainland, and climate change has put significant pressure on the crustaceans. Faced with these challenges, Maryland and Virginia fisheries departments have adopted ambitious, science-based resource management measures. These include setting catch quotas based on scientific models of crab populations. adjusting trap sizes to minimize the capture of juvenile crabs, and strictly protecting egg-bearing female crabs. Each year, scientists conduct a large-scale winter survey to estimate the total number of hibernating crabs, providing critical data for adjusting the following year's fishing regulations. This is a rare example of federal and state cooperation to protect an iconic biological resource. For fishermen, their commitment to blue crab is a philosophy of life. They understand that their prosperity is directly dependent on the health of the bay. Experienced fishermen are often the first to adhere to conservation rules, as they are the first to notice subtle changes in the environment and crab populations. They are the inheritors of a legacy where fishing is not just a way to make a living, but also an act of maintaining the balance of the ecosystem. As the sun rises over the sparkling waters of the Chesapeake Bay, each boat pulling up a crab trap carries with it a moment of hope and uncertainty. Each blue crab brought aboard is not just a commodity, but a reminder of the ocean's bounty and the responsibility that humans bear. From the clatter of the steel traps, the salty smell of the bait, to the glistening blue of the crab's claws, it all paints a vivid picture, a silent epic about the Atlantic blue crab and the hard work and perseverance of American fishermen. They are not just catching crabs, they are weaving the story of an economy, a heritage, and a regional identity in which the blue crab is an irreplaceable protagonist. And as long as the sweet taste of the blue crab is still craved, the fishing boats will continue their journey across the vast waters, promising a bountiful harvest, but always in harmony and deep respect for the harsh laws of nature. The story of the blue crab is a story. Essentially, a trot line is a long rope, which can stretch for hundreds of meters or even miles, and is laid along the bottom of a bay or river mouth. The uniqueness of a trot line lies in its simplicity and effectiveness. Along this rope, hundreds, if not thousands, of baits are tied at regular intervals. The most traditional and effective baits are chicken necks or salted pork. Chicken necks are the top choice because they are cheap, easy to find, have the necessary toughness to not be torn apart by crabs too quickly, and most importantly, the skin and fat secrete an irresistible scent to the voracious blue crabs. Drawing them out of the mud. Setting up a trot line is the first and most important step. Fishermen must carefully choose a location, usually shallow, soft-bottomed areas where male crabs, jimmies, gather to feed in the summer. They drop the cable into the water, anchor it with weights at both ends and mark it with large buoys, often brightly colored and distinctive to each fisherman. The tension of the cable must be calculated so that it is close to the bottom, where the crabs usually move, but not too loose to be easily pulled up. This bait line preparation is usually done the previous evening or early morning, before the sun comes up. The real show begins when the fishermen start harvesting, usually at dawn, when the crabs are still hungry for bait. The crab boat, usually a flat, low wooden boat, specially designed for shallow water, moves slowly and steadily along the length of the trot line. Two fishermen usually work together, One person controls the boat to maintain the optimal speed, not too fast to cause the crabs to drop the bait, not too slow to reduce efficiency, and one person operates the line pulling system. The trot line is pulled out of the water by a roller or a mechanical winch system fixed to the side of the boat. This is the most tense and exciting moment, as the crabs cling to the bait that is pulled up close to the surface. Their natural instinct is to try to hang on and continue tearing at the food. However, when they are lifted out of their familiar water environment, they tend to let go of the bait and dive. The second fisherman, positioned strategically just behind the roller, must be a seasoned net fisherman. With the long, shallow net, the fisherman must act quickly. Almost reflexively, they must scoop each crab up as soon as it emerges from the water. Before it realizes the danger and falls, there must be absolute synchronization between the speed of the line pull and the speed of the crab pick. If the line pull is too fast, the crab will fall before it can be picked up. If too slow, the harvest time will be extended. This is where the fisherman's expertise comes into play, the ability to read the crab's position through the choppy water, the precision of his scoops, and the speed of his reactions, which last for hours. The movement of the net across the shimmering water, scooping up the struggling blue crabs, creates a dramatic, captivating image. The crabs are immediately dumped onto a sorting table on the deck of the boat. Similar to the trapping method, the fishermen must quickly sort, measure their size, check their sex, and remove the egg-bearing females according to strict Chesapeake Bay conservation regulations. The qualified crabs are transferred to bushel baskets or refrigerated containers to ensure the quality of the meat, while the others are released to continue growing. Trot lining offers unique advantages over trapping. Firstly, it often yields better quality blue crabs, as they are caught while they are actively feeding. Secondly, it is less harmful to the environment than placing thousands of metal traps on the bottom of the bay. However, it requires a high level of physical strength and concentration, along with having to be constantly on the move for many hours, collecting thousands of crabs. There is also an interesting variation of this method, which is hunting for peeler crabs with baited lines. Trot lining fishermen can identify and collect crabs that are in the pre-molting stage, with a delicate white line showing on their old shells, signaling that they are about to molt. These peelers are then transferred to shedding houses, artificial seawater tanks, to be monitored and harvested at precisely the golden moment, right after molting and before the new shell has had time to harden, creating the famous soft shell crab, a highly sought after and expensive delicacy. Trot lining is more than just a fishing method, it's a cultural marker. It's an echo of the past, a direct connection for fishermen to the rhythm of the bay, when a trot line boat glides through the water in the early morning, leaving behind a gentle wave and a full basket of blue crabs. It's not just the image of a successful day's work, but also a testament to the perseverance, love of the craft, and skills passed down from generation to generation. Trot lines are a traditional, iconic method of fishing on the Chesapeake Bay, though less common today due to the laborious nature of the work. Trot lines are long cables, sometimes stretching for miles, that are laid on the bottom of the bay and secured at both ends with buoys. Hundreds of bait pieces, usually chicken necks or bacon, are tied at regular intervals along the line. Fishermen will slowly pull the line out of the water with a roller or winch. As the crabs clinging to the bait are pulled up close to the surface, the fisherman must be extremely agile, using a long net to scoop them up before they can let go of the bait and dive. This method is not just a way of fishing but also an art, a display of coordination and experience. It requires precise timing and delicate boat control skills. Dredgers, mainly used in